How to grow your own garden to save money on groceries. You can plant perennial spices and herbs in your garden so that over time you do not purchase spices any longer from the grocery store, and that's how you are going to save money for not purchasing spices or most of the spices, and then you can use that money to purchase other things you do not grow that whose prices are going up. So your grocery budget won't change because you are going to grow some stuff and use that money you save to purchase other things you do not grow. So we are looking at horseradish, and it is a perennial root spice hardy to our zone 5A. I will say that it can get big over time, but that's a spice that deer and bunny can damage when you plant it the first year. So when you purchase the root, I purchased mine from fedcoseeds.com, and you will plant the root early in spring, and you just leave the root in the ground. I will say after 2 years you'll be able to harvest. So let's say you plant it in spring 2022. When do you harvest horseradish? You'll harvest it in fall, probably after the first frost, when those leaves die down. You can dig the root out. You might try to dig some, not all of it, but the root that you dug out, you can cut a piece and replant it elsewhere. So that's how you propagate what you have. You purchase once and you just propagate from what you have. So you can plant it early. When do you plant horseradish? You can plant it early in spring, and you can, that's if you purchase it from the nursery, and you can plant it in fall if you are harvesting it from your own garden. So when I dig the root out, I will cut a piece to plant elsewhere right away, and I do that in fall when I'm harvesting some to store inside. So we can take a look at the roots. I don't plant my things too deep, so you can see the root there, but they can go really deep. So you have to use a fork, garden fork, to loosen it up. And the thing is, they break, they divide. So this is one. I think this is another one. And if you look closely, you will find that you have a bunch of growth. Can tell you how you can break it apart if you want to replant it. And frankly, in July 2022, I divided some to replant. So I just had to wait a little bit, few months to see if that will grow. I put some horseradish down as well, and some long roots. I chopped them in pieces and I just put them here. Don't know if I'll be able to dig one out. We didn't plant them too deep, but I'm not going to dig too much. Yeah, don't need to dig too much. You can see the roots. So cut those. They had to really hand pull it to cut it out. So that's just that. But those came with the roots and the plants, and that's how we plant them. So that because they make very big, large leaves, they can really cover this small patch as well. And this variety that I have, I think the leaves is edible. But that's because I've tried to divide it from one spot and propagate it, but I didn't do it on this property. So but a lot of time I do that in fall because that's the best time to harvest it for eating. So we have it here, and that one is a propagation. The mother plant is here, so I planted here, and when I harvest it in fall 2 years later, I left some in the ground, and then I replant some few feet away from it, and right now it's taking over this area of the garden. And you can see them there, and you can see, if you take a look at this, you can see how they spread. So yeah, they can spread. So if you want to dig to replant, you just pay attention to how they grow. That's if you want to dig it now to replant, so that you can cut well, and the one you will leave will have plant growing on top of it, but the one you will remove, you will have plant growing on top of it as well. But you can see how they are spreading at the ground level. And that is one, and you can see even behind it, they have some growing behind it as well there. And we have this one few feet away from it, and you can look at the ground level to see the, you know, how they bunch up, like how they are growing. You can divide it easily by looking at the growth at the ground level, so that you can break the roots with plants attached to the roots. And I propagate them, and this one is another growth here, and it might be and one that I propagated, and the one that I showed you earlier propagated as I put some there, and I put some there in some other area of the garden as well. But yes. And how do you use it? You can, when you harvest it, you'll peel off, you'll clean the dirt off because it comes from the ground, and then you'll peel the skin off. And one way I like to do it, I will grate it, add oil to it, put it in a jar, and put it in the freezer. It's hard to grate though. Another option is to remove the skin off of the roots, put it in a freezer bag, write the name on the freezer bag, and put it in the freezer. So when you need it, you can just take the frozen roots off and grate it to have the amount, the quantity you need, and put the rest back in the freezer. That's another way to use it. And when you make that herb oil, by grating it, put it in a jar, add oil to it, you can drizzle that oil on a steak or chops, pork chops, for instance, when you cook those. Or you can just use it in your cooking, and that will be your pretty much spice. So thank you so much for watching. That's horseradish is one perennial spice, root spice you can introduce to your garden if you want to save money on groceries over time. You just have to cross one spice off of your grocery list. I'm Afiavi Liberman, creator of Liberman Consulting L.L.C YouTube channel, and ninasoap.com, our blog. Thank you, you all that watch our videos. Thank you, you all that subscribe to our channel, and we thank you very much for your comments.